The Brush with Fame markers are absolutely game-changing paint pens. They continue on the legacy of my paint over pens, which are a collection of non-shake paint pens that I first released in 2017. And the Brush with Fame markers add new colours and the most beautiful brush tip, as well as really gorgeous vivid brights. We've also got neutrals and a full spectrum of skin tones so that you can use these for creating faces and painting portraits, as well as beautiful warm tones, cool tones, pastels, darks, neutrals. There's even metallics. They're all here. The 3 larger sets each have 20 colours in them, and they come in a box that you can use to store your pens. Like all paint markers, they're best stored horizontally. The Brush with Fame markers also come with a set of stickers with all of their names on them. There's a circle area on each of the markers so you know exactly where to put that sticker if you so desire. These markers all have really fun names. I had a ball naming these colours. This is Schmooze, for example, and the colours are all named after or inspired by aspects of celebrity and movies and Hollywood, all that business. On these pages, I've created some test sheets, and I've got one of the stickers for each of the colours. I've also got the paper divided up with just the watercolour paper at first, painting a stripe down of my matte medium, the clear matte medium, a stripe of white gesso, a stripe of the Cloud 9 grey gesso, and a strip of the Euphoric black gesso, just so you can see how they work on various colours. And because these are acrylic ink, they are very, very fluid acrylic ink, beautiful, opaque, they dry to a very nice matte finish, but they do behave differently over different surfaces. As a general rule, acrylic paint or acrylic anything loves going over its own self, over any other form of acrylic, so you can build up opacity. And I'll also point out that the gesso, because this is from my collection, super matte, so that it's a little bit absorbent as well of the colours. I'll also show you how the colours look on black paper, because the look is quite different. Now the colours in this set, this is the Tasteful Nude set with all these lovely beige and browns. Of course, they're going to be fantastic for adding colour to faces. Some of the fun colour names are Paparazzi, Botox, Poser, Influencer, Entourage, Front Row, Guest List, Walk of Fame, Nip Tuck, Gossip Column, Tension Seeker, Interview, Awards Night and Talk Show. Like I said, I had a lot of fun naming these colours. Before we move on to the next set, I want to show you how gorgeous they look on black paper. Black paper just behaves differently to black paint. One of my absolute favourite aspects of all art supplies is testing them and swatching them and learning how they behave on different surfaces. So again, I've already prepared. I've got all of the stickers from each of the pens down the sides of the page. I've got a column that has just got the watercolor paper from one of my journals, just bare. The next column, you can't see it because it's clear, but it's got the collage medium, then the white gesso, the grey gesso, the black gesso. So I can play and see how they look and whether I need to put one coat or 2 coats, how buildable each one is on the different surfaces. Because these are paint pens and that's got a fluid acrylic paint inside them, once they're dry, they're permanent. They're not going to move with water. They're really quite light fast as well. They're fantastic, beautiful quality ink inside each one. But before they dry, you can always add a little bit of water to get a more of a watercolor effect. And this is going to really be more effective on top of an acrylic surface. So if you wanted to do something like that, that blue, that late night blue, honestly. And I keep holding up that black paper just to show you how bright it looks on different surfaces, like on different black surfaces. So it's just, all of these things are fun. I just find the way colours look on different colours endlessly fascinating. I thoroughly recommend doing a little swatch sheet like this for all art supplies. And here I am just adding a little bit of water just to show you how it has that watercolour effect. Once it's dry though, it won't. But before it's dry, if you just put it down, especially on the clear matte medium, my collage medium, or the gesso, you're going to be able to get those watercolour effects and smooth out colours in a different way. And the fun with the colour names continues. We've got Private Jet, RSVP, Talent Agent, Go See, Front Page, Super Yacht. All of these colours are from the Super Yacht set. Blue Tick, for when you've been verified on social media because you're a celebrity. Broadcast, Late Night, Status Symbol, Baby Blues, Fashionably Late, Catchphrase, The Rumour Mill, Assistant, Body Double. Now, I could have done fewer colours, right? But looking at these, which of those blues am I going to take out? Which of those greens? Which of those turquoises? Which of those greys? None of these colours can come out. They're all important. So far we've looked at the Tasteful Nudes set, and the second one was the Super Yacht set. And this is the Hollywood Dreams set. And we've got Schmooze, Audition, Don't You Know Who I Am? Air Kiss, Celebrity, Talent Scout, Red Carpet, Casting Call, Blockbuster, Blooper Reel, Find the Light, Know Your Angles, Model/Actress, Fan Club. It goes on and on. Now, the fun names, I don't want them to make you think that this is just a fun art. Well, it is a fun art supply. I mean, obviously. But the quality is really there. These are all A-list. This is an A-list paint pen. The colour selection has been very carefully balanced to provide you, in my opinion, obviously, with everything that I think you're going to need. But of course, we don't just need all the gorgeous colours. There are some basics that we need as well. We need gold and silver. This is the Tinseltown set. Now, I think the gold and silver, and you'll see the black and white in a minute, I think these are so important that you need 2 of each of these because you're going to love a brush-tipped gold and silver paint pen in this formula. So the silver is Silver Fox and the gold is Gold Digger. The set is called Tinseltown. Look at that, and the brush tip is just so gorgeous. This is Veneers, which is a wonderful white paint pen. You can get that very fine detail, or you can push a little bit harder with your pen and get that lovely thick brush expressive line. We've also got Stretch Limo in black, and so you get 2 whites, 2 blacks in that Stop the Press set. Very important. You're going to need them. Just as a comparison, I've also got another fantastic silver pen that's been launched at the same time. This is the Mirror marker, and I just want you to see the difference in the silvers. I'm just giving you excuses to get everything. You don't need to have everything, but here are your excuses. This is a dual tip pen. One end is a bullet tip, the other is that very fine pinpoint paint pen tip. And it has a completely different type of ink in it. It's a chrome reflective ink. You can see yourself in it, so reflective, and that's called Mirror. But let's continue on. I just want to show you what's achievable with this beautiful brush tip. You can get these very, very, very fine lines, and then just by applying a little bit of gentle pressure, bam, you get that lovely thick line as well. So they're very, very expressive pens. And I'm just showing you drawing some colours over one of my journal tattoos. So this is a dry transfer or a rub-on that I've put into one of the journals, just on layers of paint, and goodness knows what else is under there. And I've put a little bit of that paint pen on, and then I'm using a brush with just a little bit of water, just a damp brush, to push that paint around from the paint pen, just treating it like a normal paint. And because it is this formula, it goes over just about every surface. So the journal tattoos do have a slight sheen to them, and it's just to show you that it works very nicely over a shiny surface. And they're a very easy, fun way to make any collaged element your own, just by adding some more colour and detail. You can also see the opacity, so I'm using a beautiful yellow here over much, darker colours compared to the yellow, and you can see that the opacity of that stays up there nicely. And you get really good coverage. Now that's going to change depending whatever it is that you're drawing over the top of. So if you're creating on top of acrylic, you're going to get lovely opaque coverage because the paint isn't going anywhere. If you are creating over the top of like mermaid markers or very, very pigmented dye inks, or watercolors, they're going to resuscitate and add a little bit of color to the ink. But this ink does dry very quickly, so that sort of thing is minimized, but you've got to play around with it and just the type of effects that you're after and that you like. And the only way to find that out is to experiment and have some fun. Now, I'm working over the top of an older journal that I created, quite a few years ago, and just adding a little bit of colour because a journal is never finished. It really isn't. So I'm adding some gold to this, the beautiful gold digger. The names crack me up. And just add more jazz, just to add more elements. And why else do we keep a journal other than to have fun and to enjoy ourselves? So I'm just enjoying myself here. And who wouldn't want hot pink, magenta with gold highlights hair and gold eyebrows to match, And this girl's even got more colour on her as well. Why not have a blue lady floating amongst as many colours as possible? See, I love doing this kind of stuff. Just loose, free, colour flying everywhere, enjoying myself. And the challenge with something like this is I've got a cacophony of colour happening in the background, and then I've gone in almost willy-nilly with of drawing a face, and then I have to try, and this is just the challenge I set for myself, I guess. I have to try and make that person somehow stand out on this very, very fun, bright, happy to create background. And that's a gradual process. And that is one of the things I adore most about these pens, is they are in complete sync and harmony with that objective. They know the mission, they know the job. Because I don't have to think about them as an entity in and of themselves very often. They are one of the wonderful art supplies that just do what you think they're going to do. Now, that doesn't make them boring. The other art supply that really does that is the layer cakes, which I've got in the background on this page, the layer cake paint. It just does what you think it's going to do, and these brush with fame markers do exactly that as well. And like I said, that doesn't make them boring, that makes them artistically reliable. And when you're working on something with this much colour, with this much freedom, having art supplies that I know what they're going to do. The surprise is the colour. The surprise is what I'm creating and drawing. That's what I want for excitement. sometimes I just don't want my art supplies doing their own thing. I want them to do what I think they're going to do. And there's definitely a time and place for art supplies that surprise us. And I like to think of those more as inks and watercolours, and I've got plenty of those. And I love to use those when in those more initial layers where I want things to move and morph, and I want to see what happens and go on a creative journey. And then there are times when I've already got that creative journey happening, and I want an art supply. I want tools that just work in sync with my mind. And that's they're one of these. The brush with fames are those. And look, I know that I speak about art supplies, probably not in a way that you're used to hearing someone who designs art supplies talking about things. But I live and breathe these things. And look, in all honesty, and I'm very transparent about it all the time, I'm not just creating things for you. I am creating these things for me because this is what I do. And I'm just really, really lucky that if you've been watching this far, I think we can assume they're a little bit like me. You are looking for excitement in your creativity, and it comes from our tools. This is what allows us to live that creative life and feel that freedom and that return to ourselves that creating gives us. Did that make sense? It did in my mind as I started making the sentence. But let's just finish with saying I am the artist, and if I want to have a blue person, I will. And she will float with hot pink everywhere. Obviously, she's a mermaid. So the Brush with Fame paint pens just work so beautifully with everything else that is in my collection, and probably everything that you've already got in your art supply collection if you don't have only Jane Davenport things. But these are an exclusive to my website at janedavenport.com. We ship all over the world every day, well, not on weekends, but almost every day, to wonderful creative people just like you. And opening up one of our boxes is like an arty party.